This is gonna be a funny episode, right? It is so, I can't wait for this one. DJ, spin it. Right? First of all, everybody gather around. You lot already know why it's gonna be a funny and good episode. Everybody, we're preparing. The people have spoken. Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, United fans. Let's take a sip. I ran a poll, right? And I said, who should we tell to take a sip this week on my show? Because there were multiple L's across the board, and it was like, woo, who is sipping on that rosé, white wine, red wine? And I listed out all the clubs, well, all the fans that should take a sip, and then the last one said all three of them, and that got the most voted. So all three of y'all, take a sip. We got some things to discuss, right? What a weekend of football. I even feel like I'm discussing it late because obviously it's been a few days since all of the drama, all of the football drama for game week 6, was it? And wow, like there were literally L's across the board. So not only did Liverpool lose, United lost, and then Chelsea lost, and Tottenham drew. And then Arsenal and City won their games. And it was just a weekend full of madness. Do you know what it is? They really need to actually start showing 3 p.m. games. Like, I'm kind of getting sick of it. But I did watch the Liverpool and Crystal Palace game when it was live, when it was showing around 3 p.m. Out of all the matches, I decided, you know what? This is the match that I just feel like you need to be tuned into, because it was just given. It was like both of them are unbeaten. So it's like, this is the game that you need to be watching, right? So I'll be real, guys. That was one of the great, as an Arsenal fan, as you know, a lot of you know that I'm an Arsenal fan. That was one of the greatest match of the days. One of the greatest hate watches that I can remember in a very, very long time, right? And you know what makes the hate watch even funnier, or the match of the day even funnier? Because all of those games happened on a Saturday. So it's like nobody knew what Arsenal were actually going to achieve the following Sunday. Nobody knew if Arsenal were going to beat Newcastle. I did though, because I predicted 2-1. Shout me out. Nobody knew, and so obviously it's in Arsenal's history to, when it's time for them to capitalise, they've got a hard game coming, all of their ops dropped points. Arsenal just don't capitalise in it. It's in the history of them. And so it was like, all eyes are on you. But I still enjoyed the Saturday hate watch. I was just like, I'm going to enjoy it. And that's what made it greater, because it was like, I'm going to enjoy this hate watch and match of the day anyways. It was like back-to-back L's. And it was just... Take a sip, everybody. Take a sip. That match of the day, I can't lie, is going down in history. So let's even just start off with Liverpool. So Liverpool lost to Crystal Palace. I would say it was a really, really good game. Poor from Liverpool though. If I'm honest with you, Crystal Palace should have won that game, probably about 4-0. And they just got unlucky in the sense where Liverpool were starting to press. They had like this moment in the game where they were starting to press and they were attacking kind of. I know Isak had a shot on goal where I thought, oh my God, he's going to equalise here. But nevertheless, the Palace defenders held on tight for as much as they can. And then unfortunately, obviously, Liverpool did get the equaliser. But then out of nowhere, I don't even know why, but the referee decides to add on about 6 or 7 minutes extra time. And it was like, why? So I was thinking, okay, something's fishy is going on here. It seems like PGMOL are looking to do a little something where they think that Liverpool are going to, you know, press on and get the win. But little did PGMOL know, little did they know that the Katia came on and grabs the winner literally the last kick of the game. Like it was scenes, absolute Palace pandemonium. Like I thoroughly enjoyed that. I screamed the house down. It was well deserved from a Palace perspective. Like they kept at it, they defended well. Mateta should have had about 2 or 3 goals. It was a proper Premier League football match. I'll give it that. Like it was a really, really good game. Yeah, I enjoyed that. And then, well, to be fair, the first match of the weekend was actually, you know, actually no, before we even come on to that, we need to discuss, because I touched on this on my last episode and I said, you know, Ekitike is gonna miss the next game, i.e. Liverpool versus Palace. And I can't lie, I feel like that proved to be a big, big loss for Liverpool. Isak isn't fit, like he's got to play catch up, and Ekitike just seems very smooth, suave, he's fast, he's got the pace. He's just giving Liverpool-esque right now. And so yeah, Liverpool really, really missed out on him. And I can't lie, if I was on slot, I would be fuming. And I was laughing about it last week when I was like, oh, I can't lie, a photo dump is... Obviously, if I was actually a player and I was within the club, I'm the manager, I will be flipping fuming. I was even watching a Gary Neville clip where he was like, oh, he would have probably got beaten up in the locker room, like if he had done that. Or he did get pinned up against the wall or something like that. Like he got pinned up against the wall because he tried to do... Like, he got sent off for, like, a very, very stupid reason. And, yeah, he's saying that that stuff doesn't happen anymore, but it should, or something like that. But that was actually hilarious. But I can't lie, Liverpool got worked. They got worked, and it was nice to see both unbeaten sides go head-to-head and see who came out on top. To be fair, I'll be real, Liverpool have been getting away with murder this season. Like... They haven't been great. They've been good, don't get me wrong. They're a threat, but they haven't been great. Like, their games have usually been end-to-end stuff. They concede a lot of goals, but somehow in the last minute or in extra time, as PGMOL will give, they find a way. Liverpool will continuously find a way. And you know what? You can't knock it because, again, champions don't need to play their best football every game for 90 minutes. What champions do is they need to find a way to win, and that's exactly what they done last season. But this time, I feel like in the first few game weeks, it seemed like they were always cutting it close, and it may be catching up to them because now obviously we've seen them in the Champions League, and then they've obviously suffered from a defeat again, and that's now back-to-back losses for them. Then they've even got a bigger fixture. Well, this weekend they've got Chelsea, and it's just like, woo, what is actually gonna happen here? But what I will say is the title race is on, even though it's not even started, because the title race for me doesn't really start until January, February. But the title race is on. It's on, and it is going. It's going. That's what I will say. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Palace are now the only unbeaten team in the Premier League, and they are doing so well. I'm not gonna lie. I give them real big props. And shout out to Nketiah, Arsenal's very own. I feel like the dopamine that game was just insane, because it's like, if I could choose someone to score the winner, like Liverpool thought they had it. They thought they had it, and then Nketiah comes out of nowhere and he just grabs the winner. And I'm just like, oh, God bless you, Nketiah. You know, I've always spoken highly about you. I love you down. I've always defended you on Twitter when people are always gunning you down. So don't forget that, child. But I actually couldn't have it any other way, like, than Nketiah getting the winning goal. Like, shout out to you, man. But I will say that I think I don't know how true this is, but I heard that he came out and said that all the Arsenal staff were thanking him. He shouldn't say that in the press, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like he needs to keep it professional. You're no longer at Arsenal. Your team is Crystal Palace. And so, because what happens when it's Crystal Palace versus Arsenal? Do you know what I mean? So it's just like, you need to keep it professional. You need to look forward. Don't look back. I know it's tempting as it is, but you need to look forward there. I do get why he probably didn't think of it or like deep it that way, because obviously it was probably in the spur of the moment. Someone's asked him a question and he's just answered. But in the grand scheme of things and in hindsight, then he needs to try and just like, not make anything a bit Arsenal centered in that way. So yeah, Liverpool lose, and then to be fair, the first match of the game week was actually United versus Brentford, and I even tweeted before this, and I just said, well, before the game started, and I was like, oh, I love a 12:30 kickoff, but not when it's my team, because there's a 12:30 kickoff curse. And that is, the 12:30 kickoff is always a janky one. But to be fair, with United, I wouldn't even say it really applies, because United are janky, like, generally. They're in bad form. Like, let's call a spade a spade. I'm not even trying to get onto United. It's just that they are in actually poor form. And so, yeah, United lost to Brentford, a resounding 3-1. And it was just like, that last goal, I'm not gonna lie, from Brentford was absolutely insane. What a goal that was, and what a time of the match to get it in as well. It was, I can't lie, that was chef's kiss. So 3-1, it just, from Matthias Jensen. And apparently he's actually not scored in the league since 2023 or some crazy statistic like that. And it's just like, United, come on. How can you let someone who hasn't scored since 2023 bag a goal against you? It doesn't make sense. Like, you need to pattern up somehow. Like, I don't know what it's gonna, to be fair, I already know what it's gonna take, but it's just like, it's just, the pressure is getting worse for United. Let's just say that. So, yeah, they were losing 2-0 initially, and I was just like, ooh, United fans, take a sip. And then Benjamin Sesko gets a goal. And then they're chasing the game, right? And then Mbeumo gets fouled. He wins the team a penalty. Shout out Mbeumo. You know, I always shout you out in all episodes. And then Fernandes misses the penalty. And then from there, it was just like, you just knew it wasn't going to be United's day. Again, I've touched up on this before, but yeah, I think Amorim is ready to go. I've seen rumours that they're saying they're trying to stick by him. I don't know how true that is, but it's just like, I don't know, I think come December, he's going to be gone, because, yeah, something's got to give. But to be fair, it's bigger than Amorim at this point. Much, much bigger. So, I don't know, but he does look defeated. He looks deflated. Even when he talks out and comes out to the press, it's just like he's irritated. To be fair, I get it, because I would be irritated too if every time I come out and I'm coming back from a game, the first thing journalists are asking about is if I know whether my future at the club is secure. Even me, Seth, I will be really, really irritated, and I'll just be like, listen, fool, stop asking me those stupid questions. But I totally get it. But his tactics are all wrong as well. I feel like he doesn't know the team. It's just not given. From when Amorim has Michael Richards doing serious game analysis, then you know it's bad. Because Micah Richards is all about the jokes, right? But he was actually doing a full-on analysis. And anyways, Mason Mount was playing left wing back. And it's just a whole damn mess. So yeah, something's got to give. It's even, again, it's repetitive at this point. Even content engagement from United fans is even down, because I think they're even fed up of it. Even I was speaking to a United fan the other day, and he was just like, yeah, like, he doesn't even really want to consume football like that, because it's just not very nice, isn't it? And I totally get it, because I remember when Arsenal were going through their very, 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 very low moments, it just, football just didn't become a nice sport to watch. It's just like, why would I want to see my team suffer day in and day out kind of thing? So yeah, there's that. It's actually crazy. And then yeah, Chelsea then go on to lose as well. Yeah, I don't know. Chelsea, you don't already know how I feel about Chelsea. I feel like they're a club. Actually, I don't even know what the name is. They are a club world level club. What's this club? Sounds like a bloody concert. Club world. You know when you get concert seats and it says you're at the club level or something like that? Anyways, Chelsea are Club World Cup champions, and I feel like that's their niche, like that's their market. That's what their team gives right now. I think when they don't have Cole Palmer, they look very funny under the lights, and it's just getting difficult for them. They've had red cards now in 2 back-to-back games. João Pedro sent off in the Champions League, and then Chalobah sent off in the Premier League. And yeah, it's looking very tough for them right now without Palmer especially. And then they've got Liverpool next. So yeah, it's going to be quite tough for them. I do think they're going to pull some points here and there, but I don't know. There is some injury doubts in respect of João Pedro as well. But yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a very difficult game for Chelsea against Liverpool, if I'm being honest with you. Hopefully they can maybe try and get a draw out of it, but anyways, who knows? I could be eating my words up, and that, yeah, I could be wrong. But Chelsea fans, take a sip. You're going to need it for sure, for sure. But yeah, the title race is well and truly on. And what I love about the title race right now as an Arsenal fan is the fact that Arsenal have actually got their hard games out of the way. Not all of them, obviously. Don't be dense. But they've got a lot of hard games out of the way. So they had United, they faced City, they faced Liverpool, and it's just like, and they faced Newcastle, but we're even going to come on to that. So, and they faced Newcastle, and right now, you know, I feel like they've done well. They've faced a lot of harsh criticism over the past few weeks, but I feel like that's because a lot of people have high expectations of them, and rightfully so. Let's actually, you know, look at them in a high manner and actually give them high standards to conform to, because it's needed. That's what's going to make the team be on goal. Like, do you know what I mean? And shout out to Mikel Arteta. He's not taking a sip this week, but if he does want to take a sip, it's in celebration, because he listened to me when I told him to take a sip, take a chill pill, relax your nerves, and be free. And be free he did. Be free he did, because Arsenal actually had a monumental win away from home at Newcastle. And what can I say? It was a belter of a game. Like, that game was, again, that's what you call chef's kiss. I was like so encapsulated. And usually, sometimes, you know, in games you can get a little bit bored, but no, it felt like a real football game. It was like, oh shit, who's gonna win? What's gonna happen? It had a little bit of everything as well, except for a red card, and it was just a very, very entertaining game. So let's start up with the lineup. Mikel Arteta listened to me, took a sip, and he was more experimental with the lineup. So he had Eze in there, Trossard, and then obviously he got the defense right. No, he didn't actually. So remember when I made a whole video about Mascara starting over Saliba? That was specifically for the City game, because if you use your common sense, you know that if someone is injured, after their injury, they're going to need game time to run around, get match fit, just be more in tune with the game and stuff like that, and up the tempo really. And so that's why Mascara started over Saliba, especially because the intensity of that football game was going to be a bit too high from someone that's coming off of injury, right? But anyways, I think he listened to the pod again, and then for the Newcastle game, he decides to start Mascara over Saliba, which doesn't make sense at all, because Saliba had minutes against Port Vale, right, and apparently got the assist. So now that he's had a run around, he's had a bit of game time, you would have thought that Arteta would have started Saliba, but he didn't. He got that wrong. But anyways, we're not going to dwell on the negative. He got it wrong and then realised at half-time and made the right substitutions by subbing him off, because obviously Mascara made a mistake which eventually led to Newcastle going 1-0 up. But yeah, that game had a bit of everything. It was fantastic. I'm so proud of the guys. You know, VAR and PGMOL tried it. It was a clear penalty on Gyökeres, and the fact that they didn't even award that was absolutely shocking. Well, it wasn't shocking because that's what PGMOL do, but it was like, really? Are you really going to try and do this? Like, you're trying to just jambaz the whole thing. Like, because Arsenal were playing well. They were the better team in both halves. And Gyökeres was through on goal. Pope came onto him, made a nasty tackle, and then everyone tried to say he got the ball. Like, just stop. Just stop. I don't know in what day and age that is not a penalty, but that is a penalty. Like, I don't know what else it is you really want to say about that. But anyways, shockingly, VAR overturned the on-field decision, which was just horrific. And shout out to Bukayo Saka for making a statement about that, because it's true, we need to speak on it. Like, it's not fair. Decisions always go against Arsenal, and it's not cool, because it would have ruined our whole match. But anyways, everything was on the line. Can Arsenal, you know, defeat the football heritage and capitalise off of all of their Ops' L's and get the win at a hard ground? Newcastle, St. James's Park, everything was on the line. And then Mikel Merino with a wonder header gets the equaliser. And honestly, God bless that man. He does get a lot of stick from fans, but I think he gets a lot of stick from fans because of the way Mikel Arteta chooses to play him sometimes. Sometimes Merino is just not needed on the pitch. Or, for instance, he's not needed when it comes to starting a game. He can, for instance, come on like he did against Newcastle and then get the header or get the goal that's needed and make a difference once, you know, both teams have settled on the pitch and you need to make that, you know, just little small changes and tactical changes. That's when sometimes he needs to be utilised. So I do, you know, feel bad for him in a sense where he does get a lot of stick. But again, I think that's on Arteta in how he manages him and how he fits him into the team. But yeah, shout out to Mikel Merino. What a wonderful header. And someone tell him on the Arsenal team to keep that celebration. He needs to keep that celebration. The little... Don't laugh at me, guys, if you just watch that. But that little... With the header that he did. Take a sip in celebration, man. Mikel Merino, the guy, the man that you are. And so, yeah. Going towards it, the game's going on, it's getting intense. Newcastle are trying to foul Arsenal players all over the place, like they usually do, like the thugs they are. And then we're getting into the last minutes of the game, and it's just like, whoo, what's gonna happen? Is someone gonna nick the win? Are Arsenal gonna finally do it? And then we've got that lovely, pretty much the last kick of the game. Gabriel, Wow, Gabriel, the man that you are, he comes in, and I have him in my fantasy as well, by the way. What a man you are. He comes in last minute and comes with the header. And it goes in. I literally screamed the house down. I don't think I've been that pumped for an Arsenal game in a very long time. I was pumped for the City game. But that Newcastle game was... Woo! And just with the context of everything that happened that weekend, with Liverpool losing, United losing, Chelsea losing, even though United aren't even in the, I don't even have to say it, they're not in the conversations, but it's L's across the board. But with Liverpool losing, Chelsea losing, Tottenham drawing, it just felt like, whew, chef's kiss. I'm so actually proud of my boys. My Gunners, you actually done me proud. Arsenal fans have been smiling and laughing all week, and that's what we need. And then obviously they just played Olympiacos, and it was a lovely 2-0. Saka's back as well. Odegaard is looking crisp. Odegaard, please, don't introduce me to a vibe you cannot maintain. Don't introduce me to a vibe you can't maintain, because the way Odegaard was playing for that match against Olympiacos, if he's back and Martinelli's back, and then we add Gyökeres, Saka, Eze, and Madueke, oh, your defense is in trouble. Arsenal might be unstoppable. If Odegaard is back and Martinelli is back to the way they were, what was it, 2022, 2023? Whew. Take a sip. It's actually going to be crazy. So, yeah, and I don't actually understand why a lot of fans, well, I wouldn't say a lot, a few fans are giving Gyökeres stick. Like, come on, just watch the guy. If you watch the guy, you know that he's a baller. Obviously, I feel like he's still trying to get up to speed with a lot of things. Yeah, he's just trying to get familiar with the pace of the league. But he's cooking. Just give him time to cook. Like, he's actually warming up. You saw the game against Olympiacos. His strength on the pitch is really, really needed. And I feel like Arsenal, once they gel and once Arteta actually fully, he's done experimenting, he has the opportunity to experiment and really knows his players and their positions. Because you see he actually experimented against Olympiacos because Saka came on the right, which is something that Saka really never does. But yeah, that's just an example of it. But once he gets that experimental phase out of the way and really knows how to use these players, whew, Arsenal fans are going to be in for a treat. But anyways, yeah, I'm proud of the boys. Arsenal are now 2 points behind Liverpool and the title race is on. Like, oh yeah, back to that even topic that I was talking about earlier before I jumped to Arsenal winning. Sorry, I got too excited. But yeah, the title race is on. It's well and truly on. And don't get me wrong, it's October now. As I said before, like a couple of minutes ago, the title race doesn't start until January. In fact, February at best. But it's nice to see that Arsenal have got their hard games out of the way. And Liverpool are actually now coming up to their harder fixtures. So they've got, I think I retweeted this actually. So forgive me if I can't find it ASAP. But oh my god, so much has happened on Twitter recently, that's why I can't find it ASAP. I can't even find Liverpool's fixtures. It's because I had a really good image where I could compare Arsenal and the two. But anyways, so they've actually got, Liverpool have got Chelsea away, then they've got Man United at home, Then they've got Brentford away. Then they've got Crystal Palace for the EFL Cup. Then they've got Aston Villa at home. They play Real Madrid in the Champions League on the 4th of November. Then they've got Man City after that away. It's just a lot going on. So let's see how Liverpool do there. But yeah, I think, the title race is on, and let's not underestimate Manchester City. I haven't really mentioned them on this episode, but yeah, they beat Burnley 4-1, and shout out to all the people that triple captain Haaland. So that's even gonna lead us to the next segment, as you always know, guys, which is the FPL part of the show. And I'm gonna start off with my week, and I can't lie, guys, I had a good game week. Like, it was, I think the only thing that stopped it from becoming a really, really like perfect game week is the fact that I didn't triple captain Haaland, and the fact that I played Virgil in defence rather than Senesi, and obviously Senesi got 7 and Virgil got 2. And it's so funny because before I finalised my team, I literally asked my friend, and I was like, oh my god, I'm struggling to pick a defender, like I have so many good defenders. And then last minute I said, I think it's VVD that has to be on the bench, you know. And then for some weird reason I just didn't do it. But anyways, so I don't know if you guys can see, but I got 79 points. So Keller, obviously, because he saved Fernandez's penalty, he got 8 points. Then I have Gabriel, who has 13 points, and I also have Gahey. And then in the midfield, my midfield didn't do too well. The only person that did well in my midfield was Semenyo, of course. Big shout out to Semenyo. And then I captained Haaland. And then, the other players didn't really do too well in the fact that I had João Pedro and Gyökeres. But 79 points wasn't bad at all. Like, a lot of green arrows. So that's always good. I'm top of the league in one of my leagues, which is good. I'm back. I know them people in that league are thinking, what the fuck, this bitch is back. Because I dropped down. Because obviously I think it was game week 2, or 3 that I had a shocking week. And I was like, okay, I need to play my wild card here. And then once I played my wild card, I was like, yeah, I'm back, baby. So let's look at... who should we start with? Okay, let's start off with the defenders, because big Gabby, right? So... I think obviously it's time to invest in Arsenal players overall. So if you're going to invest in Arsenal defenders, then obviously Gabriel had the lovely haul last game week. But if you're also, because I feel like a lot of managers are now going to transfer him in. And so if you do transfer him in when everybody else has transferred him in, but obviously if you listen to my FPL podcast last week, and if you saw my TikTok, you would have seen that I told you to transfer Gabriel in last week. So you would have capitalized. Now everybody is going to transfer him in, so you're not really going to capitalize because everybody else has him. But the only risk is of not bringing him in, or not bringing a player in generally when everybody else has him, is that when they do capitalize and you don't have them, that's when you drop down the ranks. But anyways, if you're looking for maybe like a differential or a cheaper option, to be fair, I wouldn't really say Timber as the differential, because I feel like when people right now have Timber more than Gabriel, but I do need to check the stats on that. But yeah, if you're looking for a cheaper alternative, then you can go for Timber or even Calafiori. I would stay away from Saliba right now. Obviously, Saliba, everybody knows in real life, in person, he's chef's kiss, Rolls Royce defender, but he's very defensive, so he doesn't really get a lot of attacking returns. He probably will get some defensive contribution points if you do want to, hold on to that. But I feel like if you are going to get a defender, they need to have a very high potential of getting you some attacking returns like Gabriel. And although everybody had Timber, I left Gabriel because I knew that header was coming somewhere. I knew it was coming. I just didn't know when. But I said, you know what, let's leave him in because I just feel like it's coming. It's coming soon. And it did. It paid off. So you can get any of those defender. Of course, by now, I feel like everybody has Senesi now. And if you listen to me, you would have, have transferred him in. Even though my dumbass put him on the bench. But, can't blame you. Can't blame me. Liverpool defenders, again, you could always go for them. I've spoken about Mark Gahey and Munoz Crystal Palace just look really good defensively. I think Guehi has had more points than Munoz, just because let's look at the profile. Yeah, like he'll get the cheeky assist or something. So even when Crystal Palace do concede, he still has covered himself in the sense. So yeah, other defenders that I think, you should be on the lookout for. Do you know what? I feel like it's a bit of a tough one this week, I'm not gonna lie. Because it's just like, other than Bournemouth, Arsenal, it's just like, oh, who can you... Because I was actually going to recommend maybe transferring in a Spurs player right now. But I've looked at the statistics for the Leeds and the Spurs game, and there always seems to be goals galore. So it's just like, are you going to keep a clean sheet? I genuinely don't know. But if it is goals galore, and it does prove to be, a very goal-driven game, then chances are, I'm not going to lie, that Tottenham defenders are going to get some attacking returns. So Van de Ven, Pedro Porro, or Romero. So you could transfer one of those in if you're fancying it. I feel like a clean sheet is going to be kept in the Chelsea and Liverpool game. I just don't know on which end. Right now, I think I would bank on Liverpool. And so if you do want to transfer in a Liverpool defender, you could do. But I'll be real though, Liverpool's defence have been shaky this season. And so even me, to be fair, even though I do have VVD, I don't feel like I want to invest in them permanently. He'll probably get transferred out soon. And then maybe I'll consider them when Liverpool have a good run of games. But onto the midfield. There's so many Arsenal players to choose from in the midfield, so it's actually a bit of a wahala. I'm not gonna lie to you, because it's just like, who do you go for? At the moment, I've already transferred in Saka. I've had him from last week. I transferred out Salah for Saka because I needed to afford Haaland. And yeah, I think Saka is gonna get some returns, and Arsenal have a good set of fixtures coming up. I also think you should consider Eze. There's so many players. You could consider Eze, you could consider Martinelli, you can consider Odegaard. I would wait for a bit for Odegaard to prove his worth first, because even though I saw glimpses of it at the Olympiacos game, I still think let's just give it a bit of time, maybe 1 or 2 extra game weeks. So I do think if you are gonna transfer in a midfielder, it probably has to be Saka, Eze, maybe even Rice. Yeah, Rice for a nice differential, or Martinelli. There's just a lot going on. But yeah, other midfielders to transfer in. So basically, there is this player that is going under the radar, right? And he has actually done really, really well. And he actually plays for Burnley. And he is called Anthony. So Jadon Anthony, he has had a lot of really good points. So far he got 13 points for his game against Sunderland, 6 points for his game against United, 3 points for his games against Liverpool, 10 points for his game against Nottingham Forest, 6 points for his game against City. Like, I can't lie, I might have to transfer him in. He's got Villa, Leeds, and then Wolves, I think, and he's only 5.7 million, and he's not really owned by a lot of people, and so I can't lie, he's one of my differential picks. Another differential pick of mine is Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka, who do Sunderland have? Girl. So Granit Xhaka is 5 million. He got 5 points against Crystal Palace, 4 against Aston Villa, 9 against Forest. Like, he's looking good, I'm not gonna lie. And his next fixtures are Man United away, Wolves at home, and Chelsea away. Obviously, Man United are looking a bit pretty shaky. They should be expected to win against Sunderland, but I wouldn't put it past them. And so, can always count on Granit Xhaka to do something, a little 1-2-1-2, and then the Wolves fixture looks good for him as well. So if you do want a quick transfer or a little differential, then I would recommend Granit Xhaka. You could go for Kudus as well. And then I would also recommend Anthony Gordon. Newcastle have Nottingham Forest. Yeah, Forest haven't been in the greatest form, and so maybe you want to transfer in Anthony Gordon. Yeah, he had a good game in the Champions League this week as well, so maybe he's up for it too. And then I think with City assets, they will be also good to transfer in as well. And so other City midfielders that you might want to consider is Doku and Foden. They're going quite under the radar right now as well, and City have Brentford away. Statistically, it's always been kind of a janky game, but so the last one was 2-2, then 2-1 to City, then 1-0 to City, 3-1 to City, and then 1-0 to Brentford. So yeah, the odds are in City's favour, and they're looking good. They did, obviously draw in the Champions League, but what can you say? It will be a really good game against Brentford, I'm not going to lie to you. So that will definitely be one to watch. But consider definitely transferring one of those two in. And then if we move on to strikers, then yeah, again, with City, it has to be Haaland. If you haven't got Haaland by now, I don't know what the hell you are doing, but you need him in your team ASAP. I would also get in Gyökeres. Obviously, I already have him. I've been a little bit patient with him. Everyone can see that Gyökeres is heating up, but obviously in FPL world, it's not translating. And what you do need is when a player translates and, it reflects in the FPL world kind of thing. So you need them to convert. But I feel like Gyökeres is warming up, and yeah, there's a good run of games, and so I think, Gyökeres is definitely one to transfer in. Originally I wanted to transfer back in Ekitike and then sell out João Pedro, but I don't really know about Ekitike's injury, so I'm not too sure about that. But other strikers that you could potentially look at is Mateta as well. He should have got about 3 goals against Liverpool. It's a shame he just wasn't able to convert. And maybe again Richarlison for Spurs' game against Leeds, I believe that it is. And so yeah, captains is a hard one. Brentford away is like, oh my god, am I going to captain Haaland? I don't know what it is. There's something shaky about thinking I'm going to captain Haaland, and then he just bags anyways. But I think it's going to be between, usually I would have said Saka, but because there's so many other options attacking wise, whether that's Martinelli, whether that's Gyökeres, whether that's Odegaard, whether that's the defenders, Gabriel, it's like I just genuinely don't know who the goals are going to come from. Or it could be Eze, for instance. So I probably will leave it on Haaland, but I am tempted to keep it on Saka. I'm going to leave it on Haaland, but I am tempted to put it on Salah. But anyways, that wraps up my latest episode. And cheers to Game Week 7. And I'm wishing you all the best of luck with FPL. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on TikTok. Kaibody, KAIBODY_. Cheers.